I'm here today at Pressworld Hall shooting a full behind-the-scenes day of a wedding photography day. It's a really sunny day today, so the light is going to be pretty challenging, so we'll be shooting in a lot of direct sunlight today, so hopefully I can try and teach you how to handle that with the cameras. But we'll dive straight into what's in my camera bag and what I'm going to be using today. So, first of all is my main camera, and that is the A7V. It's my first time using it today. I've got on it the 28-70 GM f2. Which has been my go-to lens now for a year. This lens is incredibly versatile. I've switched from the 35-85 prime combo to the zoom, which I never thought I would do. The zoom makes me feel a little bit lazy, but it's just too good to pass up. So that's my main camera. And then my B camera is a A7 IV. It has the 85mm on it, so still got one prime on there. I use this mainly for speeches, also for things like the ceremony when I've got a long aisle. Next is the Godox V1 flash. I'll be using this later on for the dance floor. I only need the one flash. Always good to bring a backup though. And whilst I'm on the subject of dance floor, this is my dance floor lens. It is the Tamron 17-28 f2.8, which is nice and wide for the dance floor. And for the first time today, I am using a spider holster, so I'll put that on in a sec, just because I've been using a harness lately. Well, I've been using a harness for like the last 5 years, but my lower back and shoulders have been killing me, so I'm trying to save what's left of my back with the belt. That's pretty much it. I mean, for behind the scenes, I've also got a GoPro, which will sit on the top of my camera, so you can see the point of view from my camera, and also the Ray-Ban Meta glasses for other content. And I'll put them on for things like the confetti shot, ceremony and things like that, and the couple shoot, just so I've got the content to post later on.
Sorry, are you in the way when they're shooting? Like, can't you see the lens properly, or is it all completely
No, not at all, because I actually usually shoot on the screen instead of looking through the viewfinder, which I find a lot of people don't do that. But I mean, I find it better also because I'm quite tall. I have to hold the camera lower down, so I look at the screen down there instead of having it high up here. I feel like it's kind of inappropriate to film content on someone's wedding day when you're taking focus away from what I'm doing. So I need to be focused on taking photos and not content, but when I have these on, I can just leave them on my face and I'm not thinking about them whatsoever. These are also transitional lenses, so when I put them on and it's very sunny outside, they'll go from clear to a bit darker. Don't know if you can see them going a bit darker there. So really useful on days like this as well.
Everybody needs those.
Absolutely, yeah. It's not just functional for getting content, but also for protecting your eyes and the looks.
So I usually try and arrive about 2 hours early for every wedding and get straight down to the detail shots. So typically, before the wedding day, I'll ask my clients to have everything ready in one spot, ready for me to take photos straight away, like the shoes, perfume, invites, everything like that. I'll ask them before the day to have that all ready for me so I can get it out of the way. And as soon as the day itself starts, I will grab that, take it to a nice spot in the light and start taking photos of it. Generally, I try and just find the best light and the most interesting background or setup. Nothing too fancy, I just try and spread everything out. I don't really like symmetry, so I'll often place shoes at a slant or a different kind of angle to each other. And then I'll also isolate each object. So for example, I will take earrings or the rings and take a photo of each item on their own, just in case that's important for the client to have later on. This whole day was shot on a 28-70. I did shoot a little bit of it on the 85mm. You'll see those photos later during the speeches. But yeah, most of these are 28-70. Once I've done the detail shots and spent a little bit of time with the bride and bridesmaids, I will head over to the groom. Of course, this is for heterosexual weddings. If it's bride and groom, generally I'll spend about 10 minutes in the morning with the brides and then go over to the groom and spend 10 minutes with them doing getting ready shots and group photos. Here the lighting was quite challenging, so I had them in the shade. And then I tried another angle of them in the light just so I had two different shots. And then I did a typical groomsman walking shot, which is a really easy groomsman shot to do. So I'll just ask them to spread out a little bit and walk towards me, looking left and right, anywhere but me. I'll ask them to do that only for about 2 or 3 seconds because it's kind of an awkward thing to do, but always makes for a nice photo. For the bride getting into the dress, I'll position her side on to the light and get some shots of whoever is doing up the back of the dress. Generally what I'll do is wait outside the room that she's getting dressed in, and I'll ask them to call me in once the back of the dress is being done up, because typically there are buttons or a zip on the back of the dress that needs doing up, so always nice to just get a shot of the back of it. And then here the bride was putting her shoes on, so I quickly leant over and got a cool looking shot because her feet were in the sunlight. Then I'll do some solo shots of the bride, so again put her side on into the light. I think I made a little mistake in this one because it's quite backlit, so really I should have her stood in the window, but we did get some ones of her stood in the window as well. During the ceremony, I will stand at the front of the aisle. That is to get both the groom's reaction and the bride walking down the aisle. This is, if you are a solo shooter, always the best place to stand is right at the front. Now to me, what's unusual with this wedding is the vicar actually walked down the aisle in front of the bride and groom, but thankfully he was a good vicar and moved out of the way when the bride came further down the aisle, so I managed to get some shots of her coming down the aisle and a few reaction shots of the groom. Now as soon as she's reached the front, I will move off a little bit to the left. Obviously the priority is not on me taking photos, it is on the couple, so I do move out of the way while still being in a good position to take photos, so you can see me here just in the background off to the side. Now you can stay here for the entire ceremony, but I never ever do that. I do move round to the other side of the couple in the most discreet way as possible. So for this church, it's as you can see, the aisle is quite tight, so I actually went out a back door and then back through the main door very quietly to make it round to the side, so I had to loop all the way outside the church and back through to get here. But the reason I'll do this is to get a better shot of the ring exchange and a better shot of the first kiss. So this is actually closer than I would typically approach the bride and groom on the day, but again it made for a good ring exchange shot, and I had the room, I was very discreet and respectable about it. And then here's another nice symmetrical shot all the way from the back. When the bride and groom are coming back down the aisle, I will be in front of them, walking backwards, focusing on their reaction and the reaction of guests around them. And then I tend to get straight into organising the confetti line. Typically the couple will go and find somewhere to spend 5 minutes on their own, whilst I organise the line, which is what happened. Apart from here, they specifically requested a photo outside the church as soon as the ceremony finished. So before everyone came out, I quickly did that. There is a gravestone in the background here, which I edited out because I thought it was a little bit morbid. So for the confetti line, I tend to like the aisle to be quite narrow. So what I'll do is I'll get everyone to line up in 2 lines adjacent to each other. And then if I feel that they need to come closer, I'll just ask everyone to take a step forward. Here the line is generally a little bit wider than I would usually have it. That's because there is a videographer and a content creator side by side as well with me. So the line needs to be a little bit wider just to allow all 3 of us to walk backwards down the aisle without us bumping into each other. Something to note as well with confetti shots, I always have eye autofocus locked on to the couple here, simply because using any other type of autofocus, it locks onto the confetti instead of the couple. So eye autofocus is a must for confetti, especially when there's a lot of it, to make sure that you really nail the focus on your photos here. So I'll keep going backwards, keep walking backwards, and try and get different focal lengths and different orientations. So both portrait and landscape photos as the couple walk down the confetti aisle, just to get a bit of variation. I'll also ask the couple before they do the walk if they'd like to have a kiss halfway down the aisle or at the end, because in my opinion that always looks really good. And I'll also warn guests to throw the confetti underarm. That is my only instruction to them, just because if they throw it overarm, it can hit the couple in the face or eyes at quite a pace, which results in photos of them just being pelted with confetti, which doesn't make for the nicest looking photos. And if they throw it up in the air as well, it floats for longer, which always looks good. So next we move on to cocktail hour. So it's usually about 1 to 2 hours of people just mingling. This is our chance to get all of our candids and any group shots. and couple photos. Now this day was really challenging because of the light. There was no cloud cover whatsoever, it was direct sunlight, so I was doing my best to work around this. So generally what I'm doing is I'm moving in 360-degree circles around groups and trying to find the best lighting angle. It can be really hard to find the best angle, and I have found over time sometimes there is no good angle with direct light, and sometimes post-production is what is going to save you. Just make sure that you are exposing for highlights. If you're exposed for shadows, you're going to blow out your highlights and you won't be able to bring those back. But if you underexpose, you can bring back the detail in shadows and maintain your highlight details. So moving on to group photos, what I'll do is find somewhere backlit with shade. It's quite important to have a good background, but the most important thing here is lighting and comfort of your couple and guests. Having somewhere shaded means that the light is even. And it also means that I'm keeping the guests cool. Now you might not think this is super important, but you've got to think for the couple, they could be spending 20 to 30 minutes doing these group shots. You do not want them stood in direct sunlight for that long. Take it from personal experience. I have had some guests get frustrated with me because they are getting hot and group shots are taking too long. This isn't necessarily my fault. I do a lot of preparation to make sure that group shots go smoothly, but people wander around, disappear, they go to the toilet, a number of things. So if we can keep them in the shade, nice and cool, and keep groups coming like a conveyor belt system to get group shots done quickly, then that's ideal for me and everyone else. So I always ask couples to nominate 2 volunteers who know a lot of the guests to round people up whilst I'm taking group shots, so that I don't have to do that, and when one shot is finished, the next group are already ready to move in, so we just keep it going like a well-oiled machine.
Lovely, thank you.
Now before everyone comes in for dinner, I will get some quick detail shots of the dining room. So I'll get some wides and then work my way around the room, find the nicest light, and then I'll move in closer and get some closer up details of the tables. So some arty shots and also some shots showing people's names and things that might be important to the couple. Now, about 15 minutes before the wedding breakfast is when the venue will start to call people in. So this is the best time to start the couple shoot because you'll have the venue to yourself. Everyone's gone in to sit down, so you'll have about a 15-minute window whilst everyone's getting moved in to do your couple shoot. And this leads perfectly into them being announced into the room because everyone's already sat down. The couple are on their own and you can bring them in for the meal. So for the couple shoot, I will tend to ease them in nice and gently by having them walk towards me, holding hands, and look at each other, look everywhere, look around, anywhere but me basically, and just chat about the day, enjoy themselves, and treat it like 10 minutes to themselves, really. Weddings start at 6 in the morning and they can end at 2 the next morning, and during that time they're always with people. Which, I don't know about you, but my social battery drains extremely quickly. So having this 10 to 15 minutes, whilst yes, you are having photos taken of you, it can feel like the most relaxed part of the day. And I really try and lean into that. So I don't put too much pressure on them during this couple shoot, because I actually do 2 separate 15-minute slots of a couple shoot. So the first 15 minutes is here just before the wedding breakfast, and then I'll take them out again later at sunset, whenever that is. That's generally the one where I'll get them to maybe pose a little bit more and try a few different things. This is the practice run. These are the safety shots, so these can be nice and easy. We're just having a bit of fun here. It's a really windy day as well, so the laughs were coming naturally because I got a prop umbrella out of my car for them to use here because of the direct sun, to keep it out, to keep the sunlight out of the bride's face. I thought the umbrella was a really good idea, and it ended up being a bit more like a parachute. So the bride was really struggling to hold the umbrella, and it came out with some really funny photos, and they were just both naturally laughing. Now at this venue, which is Presswold Hall, is an orangery room, so it's a really nice spot for some couple photos. So what I get them to do here is just turn and face each other, look at each other in the eyes. I'll often ask the bride to put her hand on the groom's chest because it always looks good, and move in close, go in for a kiss but kind of linger there, don't quite kiss yet. That's always makes for a nice romantic shot. And then some nice window side light shots. It's a really easy one to get. Just find a window anywhere with the nicest backdrop that you can. So for me, this corner here with the grand piano looks super nice. So I just asked them to stand there and look at each other and do the same hand thing on the chest, and there we go.
Please can you join me in standing for the entrance of the bride and groom.
So next is the wedding breakfast, and this is where the couple are called in to have their food. So here are all the guests already seated, and then the couple come in as they are announced. Quite a tight space here, so me and the content creator are battling for space and photos, but here you can see they're just having a bit of fun coming in whilst their guests cheer them in. So what I'm looking for here is obviously focusing on the couple themselves and then get some guest reaction shots as well. So couple walking into the room, having fun, and then turn and face the guests, clapping and cheering and smiling. Then a few photos of people getting their starters and their food. I don't want to take too many photos of people eating, but this person here saw me with the camera and she found it quite awkward, but then that developed into a genuine candid moment of her laughing. So I managed to get that food being passed around, so always nice to get a few close-ups of food. And then I'll go and have my break, and then after break was speeches. I'll try and place myself somewhere not too in the way. I know I'm stood right in the middle of the room here. I don't spend too long here, but here's the first use of my 85mm because I need to try and stay as out of the way that I can while still getting some good images of whoever's speaking. And then we've got father of the bride speaking first, so I'll get a few close-up shots of them. What I'm looking for in speeches is the speaker, the person they're speaking to, and the guests and their reactions. Then we move on to the second kind of lull of the day where people aren't really doing much. They're just waiting for the room to get turned around, so here's more opportunity for candidates. We're waiting for the dance floor to be set up basically, so you've got a few more chances at candidates here later on in the evening. And then we've got first dance. I didn't actually get any footage of the first dance itself, but this is the end of the first dance when they invited guests onto the dance floor. Again, I'm just looking for nice light here. I didn't use flash at this point just because there's so much natural light still coming through. It was still really bright outside, so I didn't have to use any flash. And you can see all my settings down there on the bottom. Sometimes getting good photos takes some acrobatics as well, so here's me doing my best lunge to get a photo of a really cute kid who was dancing, and everyone was surrounding her, so I had to get low to get that kind of perspective. So after dancing, we'll have another chance to do that second couple shoot that I was talking about. So the sunset was actually scheduled for an hour after this. So it's important that you keep an eye on your surroundings because the sunset at the venue was actually an hour earlier than the time that sunset technically was. That's because of the tree line that you can see back there where the sun is dipping behind it. So I've got an app called Sun AR Tracker, which uses your camera and augmented reality to show you where the sun is and where it's going to be at exactly what time. So that's really useful for me to see when it's going to dip behind the trees, so I know exactly what time I need to take the couple out for their second couple shoot. It might be worth noting that I've been on aperture priority the entire day. I know some people would disagree with me on that and that you should shoot manual, but weddings move so fast that I find aperture priority really just covers most bases. Sometimes it's a little bit hit and miss, but weddings are moving so fast that sometimes you just don't have the time to change settings. So I find that aperture priority is a really good middle ground, and it never really misses for me, so I'm happy to keep using it. Generally I'm shooting wide open at f2 as well, apart from group shots where I'll go to between f2.8 and f4, so I actually stop down to f10 and put my shutter to 1/15 to get some motion blur images of them as well, because I really like motion blur in photos, but I don't want the majority of my images to be motion blur. So I've got some walking shots of them already, so I'm at no loss if I do some artier shots as well. So yeah, that's been the entire day. I know it's quite a short video for a full day behind the scenes video, but if you do have any questions, let me know in the comments and I will make sure to get back to you. I hope you've enjoyed this format. It's the first time I've tried it out. So if you've got any feedback, any constructive feedback, let me know and I'll see what I can do about it going into the next videos. But for now, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, just leave a like and subscribe. And as always, I will see you in the next one.